And no one's appeared on behalf of either Chastity Johnson or Stephanie White. Was that non-payment of rent? Yes. Is the property vacant?
I'm sorry.
Is the property vacant?
Is the property vacant?
Oh, okay. No, it's not. They have indicated they would leave, but I'm not sure if they have.
Okay, and they've not paid the rent?
No, no.
Okay, we'll get you some paperwork so you can complete a default judgment, okay?
I'm sorry.
Paperwork.
Okay, on the record in the matter of South Washington Park versus Brittany Reese, file number 24-00210, council appearance.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Alex Wilson on behalf of the plan.
And what's your name?
Brittany Reese.
Okay. What is that on your shirt?
That's my little earpiece for work.
Oh, okay. Today's the date and the time that was scheduled for a hearing. And this is for non-payment of rent, but the two of you have already met, correct?
We have not, no.
You have not met?
No.
Okay. Were you late?
No, I was here. She just showed up. I met with my other defendant for the other case I have.
Oh, okay. Daniels?
Yes.
Okay, we'll call this one in just a moment. You can have a seat, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, on the record in the matter of SK Lansing Limited versus Trisha Daniels, file number 24-02115, council appearance.
Alex Wilson on behalf of the plan.
And ma'am, what's your name?
Trisha name.
Okay, today was the date set for a hearing for non-payment of rent, and the two of you have met.
Yes, correct.
Okay, did you have a resolution or are we having a hearing?
We have a resolution. I had the opportunity to meet with the defendant and we've come to a conditional dismissal. I can put those terms on the record for you.
Yes, please.
Rent outstanding in the amount of $2,813. That's due through July 31st, 2024. Court costs of $177.04 for a total outstanding balance of $2,990.04. The defendant has a commitment in the amount of $1,000 from the city of Lansing, a commitment from MDHHS in the amount of $870. Defendant is to pay $1,120.04 on or before August 2nd, 2024, and August rent to be paid on or before August 5th, 2024. 4B is checked and 7 is checked. Both myself and the defendant have signed the agreement. Thank you.
Okay, and so what counsel stated is accurate, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, so you agree to have this matter dismissed against you today under the condition that you'll pay the past due amount, $2,813 for rent, court costs, $177.04 for a grand total of $2,990.04. And that's for the rent due and owing through July 31st, 2024, correct? That you're agreeing that you have a commitment of $1,000 that will be paid from the city of Lansing, commitment for $870 from MDHHS, and you will pay $1,120.04 on or before August 2nd, 2024, and August rent will be paid on or before August 5th, 2024, correct?
Correct.
And that's your signature, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so you understand that there were certain rights that you would have to give up before you can enter into this agreement to have the case dismissed with conditions?
Yeah.
Okay, one of those is your right to be represented by an attorney. So you were advised of your right to be represented by an attorney at the time of your pre-trial. You want to give up your right to be represented by an attorney?
Yes.
Okay, you also have the right to proceed to trial. You could have demanded a jury trial. That was also a right that you were advised by way of the video we played at your pre-trial. Do you want to give up your right to have a trial on this matter?
Yes.
Anybody threatening you to give up those rights?
No.
Partial performance will not satisfy this agreement. So that means you can't do some portions of this and not all of it. You gotta do absolutely everything you stated you were gonna do under this section, because if you don't, they can request judgment to enter against you immediately and get a writ to remove you from the property. And they don't have to notify you of a next court date to do that. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you have any questions for the court? We're gonna get you a copy of this agreement. You have 3 business days from today's date. If once you leave here, you realize that you misunderstood any of the rights that we just went over that you had to waive, you can return to the court, request to file a motion to set aside, and we will set this for a hearing. You'll explain how you misunderstood your rights if that happens, okay?
Okay.
Any questions at this point?
Ma'am.
Any additional matters for the record, counsel?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. You're all set. On the record in the matter of South Washington Park versus Brittany Reese, file number 24-00210, council appearance.
Your Honor, Alex Sullivan on behalf of the plaintiff.
And then we have Brittany Reese present in person at the court, and both did meet privately. Was there a resolution?
Yes, we've come to a conditional dismissal. I can put those terms on the record for you.
Did you do so?
Rent due through July 31st, 2024 is $1,369. Court costs of $177.04 for a total outstanding balance of $1,546.04. Defendant is to pay $515.34 on or before August 5th, 2024 and September 5th, 2024. Defendant to pay $515.36 on or before October 5th, 2024. Defendant to pay monthly rent on or before the 5th of each month. 4B is checked and 7 is checked. The agreement is signed by myself and the defendant.
Thank you. Is that completely accurate as to how you want to proceed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you want the case dismissed today upon the condition that you'll pay past due amount of rent, $1,369. That's for rent due and owing through July 31st, 2024, correct?
Yes.
You agree that you're gonna pay court costs, $177.04 is the amount of court costs for a total of $1,546.04, correct?
Yes.
That you'll pay $515.34 on or before August 5th, and you'll do the same on or before September 5th. It says defendant will pay $515.36 on or before October 5th, 2024, and defendant will pay monthly rent on or before the 5th of each month. That's accurate, ma'am?
Yes.
And that's your signature here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you understand that you have to give up your right to be represented by an attorney today if you want to enter into this conditional dismissal agreement?
Yeah.
You're giving up that right?
Yes, ma'am.
You also have the right to proceed to trial. You could have demanded a jury trial. You understand that, right? You want to give that right up today?
Yes.
Okay. You understand partial performance won't satisfy this. You got to do everything that you said you're going to do here to the T. Otherwise, if you don't, judgment can enter against you immediately and they can request a writ to remove you from the property without notifying you of a next court date. You understand that?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about that?
No.
You have 3 business days from today's date. If once you leave here, you realize you misunderstood your rights, you can return to the court and request to have that agreement set aside, okay?
Okay.
We'll set it for a hearing. Do you have any questions at this time?
No.
We'll get you a copy of your dismissal, conditional dismissal, and then you'll be all set, okay? Thank you, Ms. Tolson.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Same to you. On the record in the matter of the people. Of the state of Michigan versus Shannon Chapman, file number 19-00242 SM. For the state of Michigan. Chapman, I have a warrant here for you, because you have in this file an outstanding payment obligation. Looks like you were making payment arrangement or payments on a payment arrangement and then you stopped.
Yeah.
Okay, and so,
I have to make payment, all right, set up a payment arrangement.
yeah, it looks like type of fee adjusted. What is this? Okay, you owe $300, is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Are you employed? I don't see that there was any restitution on here. What's going on? Looks like there was a fine of $125, $75 crime victim rights fee, $50 state minimum cost, and a $200 Court-appointed counsel, 46 days in county jail, credit 1 day. I see that you were making payments pretty regularly originally.
That we spoke with them. They were. Using because my husband at the time. Responsible for the same amount and they were not taking the money off of my side. We were making payment.
Are you saying there was a co-defendant in this case? How was your husband responsible for this?
Well,
I don't see restitution.
no, he's, that part's over with. That's all cleared up.
Oh, okay, yeah, because there was no restitution. This was what the judge found, he gave you this fine.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so,
Yes.
it says there was a,
Yes, last time we dealt with things, though, we were figuring out how all that,
somehow,
how
this,
to correct all of what was going
you
on.
must have had another case
Yes,
in
yes.
payment as well, 17-03522, which you were making payments on.
Yes.
That must be all set. Is that what all set? Okay, it looks like the rest of this is probably some court fines and other court-appointed attorney. I'm gonna waive the balance and close the file. You're all set. You still need to have a seat and wait for your, okay.
Any issues with on base?
Like,
It's
anything other than normal?
Right. I'm trying to
This-
sign in and it's telling me to create a bug report.
Yeah, that's a normal request or issue I get. It disappeared on my thing while I was trying to open it, so it happens. Let's see. I just did this one. Did I put a note in there? Reese. Child dismissal.
Comments all set.
Yeah, just give her a copy. She's
Yeah,
good to go.
I did. You're good to go.
I don't see anybody here for the show cause. I missed something.
They said they just called. They said they submitted a stip to return. Straswell? You guys reached an agreement?
No.
On the record in the matter of Cedar Place Apartments versus Shannon Chapin, file number 24-01187. Council Parents.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Christopher Asphalt, 53129 on behalf of the plaintiff.
Chapin is present. I'll state your name for the record, please, ma'am. Okay, today was the date of the hearing. We're here back on May 22nd. There was a statement on the record by Chapin that she disagreed with the amount that was calculated as her rent because her income had not changed. There was another roommate who was not named in this eviction, whose income was included in that amount. And I think council was supposed to address that.
Yes, Your Honor. I reviewed the file and the amount of monies that the state was paying on her behalf did change on several occasions. She was given documentation. She signed for it, showing what the old amount was and what the new amount was, but she continued to pay the old amount, and that is essentially what the arrearage is. It's an unfortunate situation. I don't know if she truly didn't understand, but she did sign the paper that tells her that her rent was going up. I've offered her a conditional dismissal with the idea that it could be important for her to continue being eligible for housing, and offered to give her some extra time, but she does not want to accept that.
Can I see if we have this?
Yes.
Okay, so this is lease amendment. Well, it looks like it was that her rent went up, not that the,
No income went up. I had a job for 6 weeks. And he gave me a $305 balance or $55 balance, which took me, because I couldn't pay it all at once, so it took me time to pay it off, but that was paid off before I signed these papers, which I was unsure. I was,
okay, let me ask some clarifications for council, please. Prior to February 21st, 2023, was her rent, contract rent amount $703?
Yes, I believe it was, Your Honor.
sorry.
I'm trying to see if there was a copy of the lease filed with this paperwork.
Ledger of payments.
Agree. Do you have a copy of her ledger for me? Okay, I do have her lease. Let's see. I'm not asking you a question. Okay, the lease that I have here is dated for July 2022 through, supposed to be, and July 31st, 2023, states that tenant agrees to pay $203. That tenant agrees to pay rent of $262 per month. When did that change to?
Well, the first document dated February 21st, 2023 indicates that her rent will be 700, the contract rent is $703. The assistance payment is $339. The tenant payment is $364. That is effective August 1st, 2022.
So it was going back in time. This is dated for 2023.
Correct. So yes, this notice was given February of 2023. And the new rent, what I just went over, is going to be effective. It says,
The August that had already passed by the time she got this letter.
yeah, that's probably a typographical error. Your Honor. August 1st, 2023 is what that should read.
Okay, and why was there a change?
Well, Judge, I mean, ultimately, that's up to the state, but it's my understanding the reason it changed was because there was a change in income in the household. You don't really make that determination. That's reported to us, it's my understanding.
Okay, so I see there's a lease, there's two signatures on the lease. I don't know whose signatures, whose signature is one? Tenant one, who was that? Whose signature two? What are your relations to each other?
Friends.
Okay, and you received section 8?
Yeah. In-house, right?
I'm sorry,
In-house section 8.
what about the other person? They received section 8 as well? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, and so your income or your payment is based on both parties?
Yes.
Is the other person still in the property?
Yes.
And this is based on both their incomes? Why is only one person being evicted for it?
Your Honor, Marie, he named Ms. Chapin and all occupants.
Why is his name not on here if he signed the lease?
I believe it was an oversight. Notices were sent to the property. He certainly could have appeared and
Where's the notice that you sent to him, telling him the rent's gonna be changed?
you mean like I don't have that document, Your Honor.
Does your client have such documents? Because if this is based on both their rent, then he was supposed to be a party. I want to see where he was told the rent was being changed.
Yes, I do not have that. I don't know if we have it or not.
Your client is here. You can inquire of your client in private if they have that information.
I don't know if she'll know, but yeah, let me ask her, Judge, off the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a seat, ma'am. Let's check. Check on record.
Your Honor, I didn't realize that Mr. Was it Cortez? He did sign this document. So he was aware of it. He was given it that the rent was changing.
This was based on both their income, not her. So when she says that her income did not change, you're not disputing that?
I don't have any personal information whether her income went up or down. The state of Michigan made that assertion, and based on whatever information they're basing it on, they changed the amount of rent that they're paying.
Who is Jeannie Davis? I'm asking, Mr. Asper.
That was the former property manager of Cedar Place Apartments.
Do we know how this letter was drafted?
How it was drafted?
Yeah, because obviously this information was being provided, so I need to know who was supposed to testify as to why this letter was sent and with this number in it. Because I want to see where the government sent to Cedar Place that based on her rent, this was being recalculated. Because how am I supposed to hold her liable if she's telling me her defense is her rent didn't, her income didn't change? And you didn't have the other party here. He wasn't named.
I don't know. Why don't you step up? I don't know. Can you please raise your right hand and tell the court your name?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give us the truth and the whole truth under penalty of perjury? I can't hear you.
Yes,
Okay, what's your name, ma'am?
well, my legal name or my nickname, because I go by Tammy, but my legal name is Tamara Clarkson.
Okay, how do you spell that?
Tamara.
Okay. What's your role as it relates to Cedar Place?
I'm a community manager at Cedar Place.
He's the community manager, you said?
Yes.
Is he, and you were the community manager back on February 21st, 2023?
I replaced your name.
Oh, okay. You can question.
Do you know exactly why or in what way the defendant's income changed?
I did calculate it, they take both their incomes and 3% is HUD subsidy. And so 3% of the total income of the house.
And, but so what is her income? Do you know what it's, how, what it's derived from?
And Social Security.
And so did her social security go up? Is that what happened? Do you, I mean, if you know, if you don't know,
I only know what it is now.
Well, we want to know the basis of these letters.
right, like when you send out one of these letters,
Mhm.
what are you basing it on? Is it something that look in, no, I don't have more. So I mean, do you?
Because I have a couple of questions. I'm looking at her lease. I don't see where what was her amount of her lease or contract rent amount when she moved in?
Well, Your Honor, I don't think this lease.
I don't think it says it on it. That's why I'm asking.
Right. Last page. Your Honor, I think at the very last page of
I was
that
asking-
lease.
I was asking her client, since she was under oath, if she knew what the contract rent amount was when the parties moved into the home.
I think it's in the lease, Your Honor.
I'm asking your witness.
I only have a ledger that states back July 8th of 2022.
Does it say how much their rent was? Contract amount?
Rent was $195.
But that's not the contract amount. That's her payment.
It says just rent.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. I want to know what her, so this letter, lease agreement, contract rent is $703. And that there, it shows what the assistant, the government assistance is gonna be, and it shows what the tenant's payment is gonna be. I wanna know what the contract rent amount was, not what her payment was,
On what date, Your Honor?
at the time that they moved into the property.
Well, there was a change of rent, August 1st of 2022 that increased it to
When did-
364.
When did they move in?
Moved in July of 2022.
No, you're not questioning her. I'm asking you, you got a witness here.
Yes, it's July 8th of 2022.
What was the rent amount?
Your Honor, it's a matter of contract interpretation. You look at the rent, the lease.
Well, why
It references
is
it.
your witness that you just called not able to answer my questions, and you can't give me facts because you're not the witness? Why can't she answer my questions?
I guess she's not familiar with the lease, Your
Well,
Honor.
then you're not prepared to have a hearing, because that's what we're doing. She can't answer the questions.
Well, like, Your Honor, my position is that the rental amount is a matter of record.
argument,
It's listed in
But
the
that's our,
lease.
it's still your argument. It's not listed clearly, and I'm trying to figure out how come they're changing, and it says August 22nd. She doesn't have intimate knowledge with this. She can't even tell me what the amount of the rent was when the person moved in. I'm asking basic questions, and I don't have to look at a file to figure that out if I have a witness under oath.
Okay, so the subsidy amount, I do have it broken down on the ledger right here.
Right, I don't wanna know what the subsidy amount is. I wanna know what the contract rent amount, that's a term that you all use. I didn't make that up.
Oh,
And I'm using
$900.
that. Okay, so the contract rent amount when she moved in was $900?
Yes, it's right down the lease amendment at the top.
Okay, so why is this letter from February 22nd? Why did the rent go down? The contract rent, do you know why?
I'm not sure.
Okay. So $900 was the amount that was the total contract rent amount when she moved in, and what was her and Mr. Enrique's assistant amount at the time, payment assistance amount?
347.
So I need to put her in there. You can sit here
Okay,
because he knows better. You don't. He does, and he can go over there. We can make this super formal if she can't, if we can't hold a hearing properly. Okay. What is the, what was the payment assistance amount when she moved in?
okay, so looking at the ledger I have in front of me.
Well, if you need, I don't know if the ledger will provide that. You might need a copy of the lease. That could be helpful. You can give her a copy of the lease.
Okay, so the length of the term, they moved in originally July 8th of 2022. At that time, they agreed to pay a partial month ending of July 31st of 2022, $203. After that, the rent was gonna be $262.
So there's, when they moved in, on the date they signed this lease, which I see is effective, at least what was filed here, was effective from July 1st, 2023. That was what was filed with the
Right,
complaint. That their tenant payment amount was how much?
was when they moved in,
Yes,
$203.
$203.
Right, because that was a partial month because they didn't move in on the first.
Okay, and then the next month, how much would they pay
They should be paying $262.
per month?
Correct.
Let's see. I see where there was, again, a lease that was filed. It's got a bunch of amendments attached. I'm trying to see the original on here, which is why I'm questioning, because they didn't move it in August 2021. When did they move in? July 2022, correct?
That's fine.
Okay, yeah, this is giving me the amount they're supposed to pay as of then. I'm trying to find out, what page are you looking at on the lease, ma'am?
On the very front page.
Model lease subsidized program, is that a yes? Okay, tenants agreed to pay $203 for the partial payment of July 31st, 2022, and the tenant agrees to pay $262 per month. Is that correct? But it doesn't, where does it tell me how much the total rent is due on this document? That would include the amount that HUD's gonna pay.
It doesn't normally go on the model lease.
Excuse me?
It doesn't normally go on the model lease.
Why wouldn't it normally? Because they're paying 30% of their income?
Mhm.
So why wouldn't they know what the total rent is? I've never heard of a lease that doesn't tell you how much the total rent is.
Even it's listed on the lease amendment.
I see that, but that was from a year later. And you're not giving testimony.
The lease that I've ever done for HUD has always been like this. It doesn't include the amount that they assist the people with.
I agree that it may not include the amounts they assist the people with, but Cedar Place should be telling how much in a lease, how much the monthly rent is, correct?
That's not what we do. We have 262.
No, that's how much they're responsible for.
Oh, you're talking about the contract again?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. What is the contracted rent and why is it not in the contract?
For the model lease from HUD, that would be a question for them, I guess.
I'm sorry, you said what?
I said, this is a model lease from HUD, so I guess it would be a question for HUD, not our company.
This is a lease from HUD,
Yes,
but you all are executing it?
correct. And we also give them.
You don't have a lease that tells your total amount of rent. So that can change anytime and it's not in the contract then.
We wouldn't do it without giving them notice.
I have no clue what you would do without giving them notice because they didn't get notice in the original one. So when I see a lease amendment and it says contract rent amount 703, and then I see another one, it says contract rent amount $900. And then I'm trying to figure out what is the contract rent amount, and I don't have anything that shows me from the onset what the contract rent amount. Do you see the problem I have there? Okay, so that's the first issue that I have. Nothing tells me how much the contract rent amount was in the beginning. Now, I also want to know, what is it that HUD sends to Cedar Place when they calculate what the rent amount is?
Assistant payment that's listed on the.
But they don't send you this. You create this, correct?
It's the paperwork that is generated, correct?
Correct. I want to see what they sent you to cause you to generate this.
Your Honor, can I interject just for purposes of clarification? And as the court noted, I'm not giving testimony, but it's my, maybe I need to bring in a compliance expert because it's my understanding that exactly what you're asking, it's done in a portal that the government does not give access to anybody except like a landlord, and they're not allowed to share this information with anyone.
I've seen them before. They get the information that tells them about the rental increase. They can't just send this without verifying that there was receipt from them that there's been an increase.
Right, but what I'm saying is they received this information through a portal online.
Okay, and is that noted in a ledger, or how was it noted? Because I need to see how we're going about this. First of all, these records aren't accurate. I got one that's telling me that effective August 1st, 2022, the contract rent amount is $703. It tells me what their payment assistance is going to be and what the the tenant's rent's going to be. Again, I have the original contract agreement, doesn't even tell me. How are you going to give me a lease agreement that tells me a contract rent amount, and then the original doesn't even tell me, and then the next amendment has a different contract rent amount? The thing that I see changing on these two amendments is not a change really in their assistance. It's the change in their assistance from the two of these, it appears to have gone up, but the rent amount changed. That's why I'm asking these questions. It's the contract rent amount that changed, not the assistance on these.
Say something.
Well, I don't have a question to you right now.
Right, you know, again, Your Honor, like maybe my compliance expert would really be the person who could try and clarify these questions, because, you know, I agree, I think it's all based on market rate, so they'll change the contract rate. And, you know, we've agreed to do that, and I believe the lease indicates on there, you know, that you're getting this assistance and that your rent is based on a contract, on a market rate, which can change. In the current amount is on the lease amendment attached to this lease. Now, I don't have, so I think to answer your question, when she signed that lease, that was the contract rate and that was her
We don't
portion.
have, the problem, we don't have a contract rate. Is the original lease here, and I question your witness about it, it does not tell me what the contract rent amount is. It only tells me what their payment is going to be.
On the lease amendment, read it to her.
I don't want to hear about the lease amendment because that was not given the day that they signed this.
Yes, I
want to know when they moved in, what the contract rent amount is. And there's a specific reason why I'm asking that, because I have a problem calculating, or what she's saying is almost accurate. If I rely on this, judgment is in favor of the defendant, because what this shows me is that they received an amendment on February 21st, 2023, that their assistance payment would be $339, but the tenant's payment's going to be $364. And it says what the contract rent amount is. If I look at the one that they got about 4 months later, it says their assistance now is going to be $347. Their assistance has gone up, but the rent went up, the contract rent rate. So now they owe more.
Right.
There's what she's saying would be accurate. You've not provided me anything. I've asked multiple questions, so you already know where my ruling is now. Because this right here shows me her rent didn't go up. That's why I asked the questions I was asking. This doesn't show me her rent that her assistance or her income was calculated differently. This showed me that you all were changing the rent. And I don't even see where she was notified that there's going to be a change in the rent. Just that her rental assist, or that her calculations was done. And that's what you all are relying here, but that's not what this says. And one of them don't even have an accurate date on it.
Correct.
You can't screw people around like that. You got to give them accurate information, and it should start from the beginning. I don't care that HUD created this. I know good and well that a HUD lease, or at least when you're under HUD or government subsidy, is supposed to come with the amount of rent on it. I know this before I was a judge because I was raised on Section 8. You don't get to send a lease agreement and you don't tell them what the contract rent amount is. That way you can dink around with them and play things. They don't know what it was, because it just could be amended at your discretion.
Your Honor, we don't have the original lease here today. That is correct. I think I can get it. But your question, and it is a good one, why did the rent itself, the contract rent, change? But I think HUD makes that decision and we have to comply with it. But
HUD makes the decision about how much your contracted rent is?
Yes, I believe so, Your Honor.
You believe so? Show me where that's the truth.
Well, that's why I guess I need to, get my compliance person. And I think even in that lease itself, if we can pass the matter or adjourn the matter, I think it explains that her rental agreement, the rent that she pays can change based on
I
various
recognize that, but that doesn't make me believe that HUD is gonna decide what Cedar Place is going to charge for rent. HUD is going to tell you that we're gonna pay 30% of her income.
I mean,
They don't decide how much your rent, the HUD is not in the process of deciding how much your rent's gonna be. Unless this is a HUD housing development, then it would be different. If this is, if she's living in what we call project, that's different. They set the amount, but this is Cedar Place Apartments. They are the one that are sitting out these lease agreements, and they're signing here as a landlord. They set the rent amount. They knew how much that rent was gonna be when she moved in. They just didn't disclose it to her in the lease agreement.
Well, they did on the lease amendment,
No, that's
which
not,
is part of
amending something after the fact is not the same. It's not, it wasn't, she signed this lease in 2022. The first amendment I see in here was 2023.
right, because I guess she signed a new lease, but like you said, we don't have the original lease, but it's my understanding that the lease amendment is part of the original lease.
It's a year later.
Right.
It's not, that you can't tell me a year later it's part of the original lease. I want the original lease.
I
And you
understand.
couldn't bring me that. She's not able to answer these questions. I don't have the other person whose rent or income is being included when calculated because you all did not effectively serve them. Let me look at the proof of service on here. I will adjourn this so that you can bring your compliance officer or whatever you believe that you can bring in to satisfy or answer my questions. I, in the interim, would like you to properly serve Enrique, whoever it is, by name.
Yes.
And then I'll entertain your motion to add him by name to the complaint. He should be here because both of their incomes were considered in making this. And I don't see anything that shows me that HUD changed. Well, I do see based on these amendments that HUD changed the amount, but it went up. They paid more. HUD said we're gonna pay more, but the rent was what changed. And I don't even see where the rent was what the rent was originally on here, which is why I have so many questions and concerns. I just want to make sure that we're not dinking around with people. I don't even see where Enrique signed this one. He signed one of them. I don't see where he signed the second one. So Enrique needs to be served because sometimes in all other occupants is not very clear. And it certainly isn't clear when it comes time to impose a judgment. She would be on the hook if I found that she was liable or this amount was owed. She would be on the hook for that, and it wasn't just her income. And she's, I'm sure, brought some evidence to show that her income has not changed. Maybe it was Enrique's income that changed. I don't know. Maybe it was just the rent that changed, because that's what I see here. How much time do you need to serve Enrique?
Maybe I'll file a motion as well, once we serve him, like the court indicated, requesting that we amend the summons and complaint. Should we put it over for 3 to 4 weeks?
Oh, we'll get you next court date.
July 31st.
July 31st at 1:30. We'll get your notice to appear. Have any questions today, ma'am? Any additional matters while we're on the record, counsel?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
No problem. I know.
Thank you, Karen.
Oh, you're welcome.
Just
Order under 7. Or, but did she appear late?
yeah, I was gonna say,
So they had to have gotten a new notice to appear.
Judge, sorry, I know you didn't tell me this, but, you told me to also bring this with the time and date stamp showing that I was on call, but it wouldn't let me keep, it kept saying that I was involved.
Okay. We're trying to find out where, you said what?
oh, I was trying to see how much the time difference,
What
if it was
time?
like a week. No, the last hearing was the 24th.
Right,
It should have got it, yeah.
they should have got, do we have their attorney's number? They need to log in. Otherwise. Can you get her phone for me, please? I can't get into it. What did I do? Why aren't we doing anything? Said you were,
It's at the top, it's time and date stamped, I was on call at 2:30, but it was, keep saying that it was waiting.
thank you. Yeah, put a note in here. There was a, hold up here. I mean, that hearing was what date? It was the 24th, June 24th. Okay, they were supposed to file defaults, which we've not received. And of course, on basis frozen, so, So shortly after you left, she appeared, she had been struggling to get, for whatever reason, it didn't tell us she was in our waiting room. She had screenshots indicating of that. So on that same day, we sent a notice for you all both to appear today, but you did not appear. And because you appeared, yeah, that's why I didn't want to dismiss it because well, if you can log on to Zoom, she is in the courtroom and we can get you all in a private meeting room. 876-493-1931. Yes. No, there's not. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Can you get her on Zoom and he's gonna log in and they can meet privately?
Okay.
He said he hadn't received the notice yet, but.
Yeah, break it down.
Council, I'm gonna add you to room 1.
Understood. Thank you, Judge.
Wow. Okay. All right, council, can you hear me?
I can,
Okay.
yes.
Can you help her, actually have her come back in here because I don't think she unmuted. Okay, very good. Okay, on the record, in the matter of BCG Equities LLC versus Michelle Lewis and file number 24-02256. Council, can I have your appearance?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Attorney Richard Stuckroth appears for the plaintiff, BCG Equities LLC, P85814.
Okay, today was the date that was set for a pretrial, and the parties did meet. Did you all come to a resolution, or are you going to complete a joint pretrial statement?
I think if we, I did speak with Ms. Lewis. She explained that she's in the process of filing a bankruptcy and is in the process of paying her retainer fee, which she believes she will be able to pay in full by next month. So I guess in a fairness to try and keep everything as seamless as possible, I don't know if the court would be willing to set this out for a status date in September to give Ms. Lewis time to retain said attorney for her bankruptcy, as well as giving that attorney time to file again said bankruptcy.
Okay, we will get your date right now. September 16th at 2:30. Have any questions today, ma'am?
No, thank you.
Okay, we'll get you a copy of your notice. Thank you, counsel, for appearing. Any additional matters for the
Absolutely.
record?
Nothing further for plaintiff. Thank you for the phone call, Your Honor.
No problem. You're all set.
Thank you.
Yeah, you didn't even know in this thing. We'll get you a notice. in just a
Oh,
moment,
okay.
ma'am.
You guys have a wonderful day.
No,
Thank
you
you.
just have a seat.
Oh,
Wait for your paperwork.
oh, okay.
I don't know why I can't leave a note.